It's a question that has plagued the modern technological society for some time now. Which operating system is actually better on a cell phone between Apple's iOS and the Android platform? My name is Edward Mazingo, and for the past 7 years I've been employed with a major wireless provider, working customer complaints, technical support, and sales, and I've gained a lot of insights of both of these different operating systems on the phones. Because of key differences between the external designs and the internal functions, I personally think that Android is a much better option for people to use with today's busy society. We'll start off with looking at the physical differences between the phones. With an iPhone, they all look the same. What you see is what you get. Even with the different changes they've made, they all pretty much look identical. Now with an Android, you get a lot of different features that the iPhone doesn't offer. One includes a bigger screen. Now the iPhone recently went up to a 4-inch screen, but Android on standard has been 4.3 inches for some time. And it even goes as high up as 5.7 inches on the Galaxy Note 3. This is a huge feature of the phone because with so many people using it on the go, watching movies and videos, it can really be a selling point. Jefferson Graham of USA Today actually mentioned that it's a lot like watching something on a small HD TV. Now the keyboard design is also something that varies a lot with the Android devices. You can get it with the simple virtual keyboard on an all-touchscreen phone, but even that comes with a feature called Swipe, which makes it really easy to text, and you just slide your finger across the different letters that are used to make up a word, and then it'll use predictive texting to type out that word for you. Now, if you only like to use your phone as touchscreen sometimes, but when text messaging you like to use a full QWERTY keyboard, they have designs for that as well, where the full QWERTY keyboard just slides right out of the side. Now, if you're someone who really doesn't like touchscreen at all and you like to use all physical buttons, they also have a mounted keyboard at the bottom in some designs where you can just always use that and it never goes away. Now, durability is a huge difference between the two types of phones as well. With my time with the company, a lot of people that would call in about cracked screens seem to be iPhone users. My personal experience, I've had an Android for several years, several different models, and have dropped them multiple times that have never had an issue with a cracked screen. But how many of you have seen iPhones that look like this, with spider webbing cracks down the corner of the glass? It seems to happen a lot. If you haven't had one, I'm sure you've seen someone that had it. And that can be, definitely a money-saving addition to have a phone that you don't have to file insurance claims on a lot. Now, battery design really steers me toward Android as well. On an iPhone, there is no removable battery. So if you have an issue with your battery and it needs to be replaced for some reason, you either have to seek out an Apple store or you have to send it into AppleCare and wait several days until you get your phone back. With an Android phone, all you have to do is order a new battery. You're able to replace it yourself at home. It also leaves the option open for an extended battery that you can purchase, which actually gives your phone more life before the battery drains on it. A lot of people that like to travel like to carry around a spare battery that's fully charged so that if their battery dies, they can just replace it and have a full charge on their phone. These are things that are not available for Apple users. Now there's also several different internal functions that really set the Android apart as well. One is interest-based. There are a lot of different Android devices that come out promoted specifically around people who have particular interests. So there's certain ones focused around people who really are into taking pictures and photography that have higher megapixel cameras on it. Phones for people who are really into social networking that contain Moto Blur, which integrates all of your social networks into the main screens of the phone, into the contacts, and makes social networking really easy with them. There's also different game-based phones, such as the Sony Xperia Play, where there's a full gaming controller that slides out of the bottom of it. Android phones seem to be a lot better with gaming as well. As Jordan Elderson, the CEO of Appetizer Mobile, pointed out, it has much better specs than the iPhone, especially when you look at the higher-end Android phones that have a quad-core processor on it. Multitasking is also something that's a lot easier to do on an Android phone as well. On an Android phone, you can run simultaneous apps at the same time, and since the way that the applications are made, they're separated into senders and receiver components, so that way they can interact with each other while not draining the battery life on it. So what that does is leaves a certain aspect of the application open so that if it has to interact with something else on your phone, such as messages, phone calls, location, anything like that, it's still able to do so without the full app running. On an Android phone, the multitasking of apps is pretty much limited to playing audio while you're doing other things. The resolution, also a much bigger aspect on high-end Android phones than it is on the iPhone. So it's a lot clearer, crisp screen on it. Now if you're going for a lower grade Android phone, it may not have as good of a screen, but it's all about getting what you pay for. A lot of the apps on the Android system do encompass the same apps that the iPhone has as well. However, since people can develop their own applications for an Android phone and post them onto Google Play, you're going to see a lot more applications that are more unique than the iPhone would necessarily have. The Android phone also has a lot more free applications where most things that you get through Apple you would have to purchase. Now, memory is also a huge deciding factor between the two types of phones as well. The iPhone does not have expandable memory, so you pretty much have to estimate how much memory you're going to use before getting the phone. So if something changes where you're saving more videos to your phone, having a lower amount of memory is really going to be harmful to you because you're going to have to either delete stuff off of your phone or move it over to a internet cloud storage where it's not readily available for you. On an Android phone, all you have to do is buy a higher size memory card, put it in your phone, and then you're going to have more memory on it. It's a lot more convenient, and it's going to cost you a lot less money than having to pay for more memory than you're going to need. So with that being said, in today's busy society where everybody's on the go and their cell phone is normally the primary tool that you use as both a computer and a cell phone, I think the customizability that is offered on an Android is really more beneficial to people. So I really hope that the next time you guys go to get a new phone, you look at all the options available and you really look at the different features that an Android has and